Hey Brittany, I'm really excited to have you on today. I met you through TikTok. You do a lot of fun lives, a lot of high energy. You're also sober. That's
Mhm.
something that inspires me, and that's the reason that you're on today. So thank you for coming on.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
So where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
Okay, so I grew up in Connecticut. Connecticut is very small. And my father uh is slash was an alcoholic. Uh, and my mother was completely normal. They were divorced I think just a few months after I was born. Um and my memories of childhood are really like I say it like this, like I led a double life at a very young age, like that double life we lead, you know, further down the line when we start drinking and doing all the things. I led that from the moment I can remember. I'd go to my father's and it was all, fun and like, fast food and like living on the edge type of situation. No rules, no punishment. And then at my mother's, it's, dinner 5 o'clock with the family. There's rules, there's, structure. My mom had me in dance classes at the age of 3. Basketball, I played basketball when I was younger. I was very active and she had me in a lot of different activities. But then again, I go to my father's and it was just chaos. So like, I'm living 2 lives really. So yeah, I mean that was, and it was like when I go to my father's, he would have me like, he'd sometimes be intoxicated. And I remember one time specifically, he fell down drunk and asked me to like not tell my mother. I must have been 6 or 7. And I never did. I told her, just a few years ago and she was shocked. She didn't know anything about it. And I'm like, that's, how I learned to lie, like right there. Like that was my first memory of lying. Which is crazy that I have. And yeah, you know, by the time I got to middle school, that's when, you know, I started seeing changes in myself. I started to become like a very angry kid, a
Hmm.
very, very angry, very, uh, you know, I was stubborn. I was, breaking all the rules. I was, getting in trouble at school, fighting with my mother all the time. Like something had changed, and I can't pinpoint why or what or who or how, but that's when things changed for me. And I as soon as I got to high school, I think I was 15, maybe still 14. I took that first drink, like, that was a huge turning point in my life. I was at a party at a friend's and I was in the basement and, I took some shots of Southern Comfort and like I had arrived, right? Like
Hmm.
I was like, I finally like this is who I want to be. This is how I want to feel. Like, I felt like I fit in. I felt beautiful. I felt funny. I felt unstoppable. I was like, I'm invincible. This moment right here, I am invincible. And of course, like for the next 15 years, that is exactly what I chased. I chased that feeling that I felt that night, and it was from that moment on, I was off to the races immediately. Like I remember, I was very much a weekend warrior. So, we'd find somebody who looked young enough and cool enough to get us a bottle. We're drinking in the parking lot at Taco Bell, Wendy's. Like this was just like normal behavior, like everybody was doing it. The parking lot would be filled with people doing all the same thing. I'm young, I have all these excuses as to why, like this is just what everybody's doing.
Hmm.
And that became my life. We'd take shots before class at like 7 a.m. We'd make mixed drinks, we'd go to pottery. Like I was drunk in school. I just had no cares in the world. I'm just like loving it. I'm loving it. I'm having a great time, you know,
The
you know,
first
but
drink.
yeah, go.
sorry, the first drink for me was magical also, and I remember from the start, I was like, "This is what I've always been missing,"
Mhm.
and it just progressed quickly. For me, it was like you weekend warrior stuff mostly, a little bit of drinking before school, not too often, and then senior year, drinking on weeknights at sporting events
Mhm. Yep.
was big for me.
Yeah, we did that.
But I didn't ever have any like repercussions or anything for my actions in high school, and I just thought it was normal behavior like you.
Yeah.
And then it started to become like an everyday thing for me shortly after. Um, what was it like for you when you got out of high school?
When I got so that's when my consequences started pretty much, I went to college. I graduated high school. I went to a college in Boston. It was an art school. Um, and everybody there is partying and doing all that stuff. And I didn't really see a change, right? Like it looked the same to me. Like, everybody's drinking during class, we're going out after. Um, my first semester, I got kicked out of the dorm because I beat my roommate up with a pan. I hit her. No, I'm sorry. She hit me with the pan. I hit her with my laptop because that was what was right in front of me. Like, and I mean, of course I was intoxicated, and of course I'm here trying to blame her. I went to the RA first and I was like, she hit me with the pan. But like, really, it was my fault. I started the whole, I don't even know what it was about. I couldn't tell you. I got kicked out of the dorm. And by the end of the first year of being at that school, I got kicked out of that school altogether. They kicked me out because I was having a party in my room. I pushed the RA out of the room, slammed the door in his face, and threw a bottle of vodka out the window because I that was my salute. I was like, just get rid of it. He won't know. Like, come on.
What happened to you when you got kicked out of the dorms and out of school?
So my justification kicked in, right? I'm justifying at this point because I had already transferred schools. I was already planning on, I already had set it all up to go to a different school. So I just didn't matter. It didn't matter. And I was on the dean's list that year. I don't know how I made the dean's list, but I did really well in that school. Like,
Impressive.
um, it was, um, so I'm here I'm like, "Well, it doesn't even matter anyway." So it really wasn't even a thought in my brain like, "This is a problem." Like, because it wasn't to me at the time. Looking back, of course, but at the time, it wasn't.
Where did you go to school after that?
To a school in Connecticut. I went to Western Connecticut State University. But before I get there, like, that summer that I got home, I got my first DUI. I was 18. I was 18 years old with my first arrest. Like, I was reckless driving. I I was partying in a parking lot, and I must have finished like a liter of vodka to my face, and I'm driving around real reckless, and I'm almost home, and I see the cop behind me. I look up in my rear view. As I look up in my rear view, I swerved because I can't do 3 things at once, right? I can't look in the rear view, be drunk, and, drive the car. So, yeah, I get pulled over and I get a DUI. Uh, and I wish I could say, like, that opened my eyes or that was, like, scary for me or that, like, it changed anything, but it didn't at all. It didn't even phase me. I got like a slap on the wrist. I got like a 6 month. I lost my license for like 6 months, and I did have to do some drug and alcohol classes for that. Um, but at the time, like it was just like a way to meet more people like myself, like more people to party with, more people to go out with. Like that's what I looked at it as. Um, and when the cop pulled me over, I r I the only thing I remember was begging him not to put my name in the paper, like, that's what I was concerned with. I was like, "Please, I'll pay you," and they're like, "Please, Brittany, like, that's another like, please just stop. Don't don't make it worse, like, it's a whole 'nother charge, like, don't even." That's what I was concerned with, honest. Like, that was my concern. Don't put my name in the paper,
because then
you know?
everyone will know.
Then everyone will know. Right. And we can't have
Mhm.
that. But
No, just only I can know what's really going on.
literally, yeah. Yeah. So,
Did you go to jail for the night?
no, they didn't even put me in like a holding cell. They just brought me in to do the fingerprinting and all of that. And then I remember like I think I was like sitting on a bench or in a chair somewhere, and eventually my mom or somebody came to pick me up. I was so I don't somebody came to pick me up, and yeah, I don't even I don't even remember. I honest my a lot of my memories are so fuzzy, from those days that
It's scary. Drinking and driving is terrifying. There's people who have killed somebody and don't even remember it because it was in a
I
blackout.
I know, and that's the thing, I could have, like, thank God I didn't, and thank God I'm okay, and that I didn't hurt anybody else, but I guess multiple people called in my reckless driving that night, like, that's what the cop told me.
It's a surprise you almost made it home. You should have got pulled over way sooner.
Way sooner, like, I was in the home stretch, I was right up the road.
It's funny how we all think that we were so close to getting away with it.
I know, and I was like, "Well, can't I just leave the car here? I just live up the road." Like, "It's fine, I'm basically home."
All right, so DUI number 1, no
Mm.
warning sign, only 18, about to go to sophomore year. Did you go to college sophomore year then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, like, that was another justification. I don't need a car because I'm a sophomore, and I don't think that sophomores were allowed to have cars on campus at the time. So, it was another, like, I could take the shuttle, like, I'm fine, I'll make friends, it's fine. So
How did sophomore year go? Were you, like, angry that you got a
Mhm.
DUI and things escalating, or
Mhm.
did you behave better?
To be honest, it didn't phase me. It didn't change a thing. Uh, my drinking, if anything, progressed at that point because that's the school I went to was like high school all over again, where like people are clicky. I'm going in my sophomore year. People already have friend groups. People already know each other, and I'm new, right? I'm the new
Mhm.
kid on the block. Like, so I'm back to like uncomfortable, like, you know, uh, and just trying to fit in. So what do I have to do? I have to drink so I can fit in because I can't fit in on my own. Like I don't know how to do that, you know?
It was definitely the medicine to be less socially awkward. It was my best friend to bring to every party and start every party with. I
Oh
was
yeah.
drinking by myself before I went to go see anybody else.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. You have to pregame because if you're not a little tipsy by the time you get there,
Yeah, you have to pregame the
I can't even
pregame,
go. Yeah, pregame the pregame.
and
Yes.
you have to nightcap the postgame.
Oh yeah. It never ends. It doesn't stop.
Yeah. So you get through college then, or did you finish college?
Oh no. Oh
No.
no. I was in college damn near 10 years. I couldn't finish. I would just like I would go, I would stop, I would go, I would stop. Um, I didn't finish until I got sober. Um, yeah, I think I had a good 3 years there, like, solid, and then everything got a lot worse at that point, and I couldn't maintain both.
Mhm.
So, I would take breaks, I'd go back thinking, like, that would fix me, and I kept that process up, and it was another way for me to justify too, like, because I'm still in like, okay, what Van Wilder, like, you can't be in college when you're 29 years old, like, I'm like, "Oh, I'm in college, like, this is fine."
I look young enough to fit in, they don't know.
Right, yeah, who knows? Nobody knows, but
So how did things start to get worse?
so, okay, so when I was 20, I came out, as gay, lesbian, whatever you wanna call it, and I met a girl, and we dated for about a year, and that relationship was toxic, abusive, uh, emotionally draining. It was we would basically she beat me up. She threw me in her trunk at one point. Um, and it was just it was always this like just super toxic, super unmanageable relationship, and I was so head over heels for her, and she was of me, and you know, by the end of that, close to the end of the relationship, that's when she had beat my face so bad that I was all black and blue. My nose was broken. Like that was the final straw in the relationship. But by that point, anything that was put in front of me, I wanted to take because I didn't want to feel that that hurt and that pain that was caused in that relationship. And I'm not a saint in that relationship. I don't want to make it sound like I did nothing because I played my part, you know. And alcohol had a lot to do with the fighting and the arguments and the abuse. And um so yeah, by the end of that relationship I had met a guy in college, and he offered me Percocet. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anything about it, and I tried it, and that was my new solution, right? That numbed me better than alcohol. You couldn't smell it on my breath. I could just do a quick line in the bathroom and go back to class, and nobody needs to know, or whatever I'm doing. Nobody, it's quick. I'm messed up right away. And, you know, um, yeah, it was the new solution. It was the new solution for quite a few years. For quite a few years. Um, at the end of that relationship, when I started doing Percocet, I got arrested 5 times in about a month, maybe 2 months. I got my second DUI. I got arrested with it for a narcotics charge at another time. There was like a disorderly conduct, breaches of peace. It was just like one right after the other, all in a different county in Connecticut. So that particular summer, I remember just being in a courthouse every month, a different courthouse, like trying to fight all of these cases. Um, and God was definitely on my side. God was on my side. I came out of all of that with a slap on the wrist again. you know uh Again, I was on probation. I got a little probation. Okay, lost my license again, more drug and alcohol classes, you know and I still didn't see. I still didn't care. I was like, well, if I can get away with all that, like I must be like, definitely invincible. Um, yeah, and from there, it got a lot worse. It got a lot worse from there. Like, that wasn't even the bottom. That was just, like, the top to the bottom. Like like
There's always a basement door. It's
yeah,
a
there's a
world of
basement door, then
yets.
the trap door in the basement, like, it doesn't end.
It's where do you want your rock bottom to be? Where have you experienced enough pain is what it takes.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
glad you survived the first part, but how did it continue to get worse?
So, I couldn't stay clean, on probation, and the probation officer gave me the choice: rehab, jail. What do you want? What do you wanna do? I went to rehab. I was, say, 22, at this point. I went to rehab with the mindset of, "Okay, I definitely have a problem with drugs, but alcohol? Mm-mm. No. No, everybody drinks. It's, socially acceptable, right? You could buy it
Mm.
at any store, but the drugs I could see, okay, you know? So that's how I went in there. Um, I The only thing that I got out of being in treatment that particular time was that heroin is amazing. Like, that's all I heard because I heard other people talking about all their experiences, and that's all I could hear. because I was so closed off to hearing anything else, and I had no desire to be there, and I was forced to be there. Um, you know, so yeah, so I get out of there, and what do I do, right? What's the first thing I do? I go find that heroin, and I do that heroin, and I love that heroin. Like, I love it.
Was that your first time?
So I'm not gonna lie, I did it the night before I went to treatment. I did it. I try because I was like, because I really thought I really went in there and I was like, I have to do this at least once because this is gonna be it. I'm gonna be cured. I'm gonna be fine. Like, so I was like, I have to try it. And my dealer at the time, I was staying with him for the night before I went to treatment, and he, did it for me, IV, and he missed, and I didn't. I was just like, this is stupid. Like, and and then I remember being so afraid that they were gonna see my track mark, my one little tiny when I went I, like, tried to, like, hide my arms and like, that's what I'm there for, but whatever. Okay. Like, what oh, the things we do, it's just crazy. But, yeah, so I was like, "No, I have to," because after I hear all this, I'm like, "I have to give it another go, like a real go." And, yeah, that next go goes for about about, another, 8 years, That's I was out there for 8 years, uh, you know, just a mess.
So the first time wasn't that good because you missed. When you came out of treatment and you did it for the first time, was it as magical as everyone said?
Yes and no. So, I didn't know how to do it myself, with a syringe, so I would have to find someone, so it was kinda like a struggle, but it didn't get good until I learned how to do it myself, which is a moment I think about often, to be honest. Like, I remember, like, being in my bedroom in my family's home. My grandpa's in the other room, my mother's upstairs with my grandma, and I'm in my bedroom, door shut, belt around the arm, and I figure it out. I figure it out. I do it on my own, and, like, that was the moment. That's the first moment that I can remember, like, "This is amazing. This is better than all of that other stuff combined." Like, it was like, I saw a movie once and it's just, somebody running through a field with beautiful flowers on the most beautiful, perfect day. Like, that's how they described it in this movie I saw, and I was like, "That is exactly it. That's exactly how it felt." Like, just the most perfect day in the most beautiful field, not a care in the world, and just like I could finally breathe. Like, better than anything,
You
you
felt
know?
euphoria, relief, heaven
Euphoria.
on earth.
Heaven on earth. That's exactly what it was.
It sounds like it probably took off pretty quickly then, once you figured
Mhm.
out to do things yourself.
Yeah.
What what was that like?
Um, it was bad. It was bad. My mother got a restraining order. I was either couch hopping or like with my living at my dealer's, or I was staying at my dad's, which was not a good place to be staying, to say the least. You know, just super. I didn't have it. I couldn't hold a job. I got fired. Oh, and that was the other thing too. The first night that I picked up heroin, I was at my job, I went on my break, I came back in, and I didn't think anybody knew anything. I got fired. The first time I picked up heroin, I got fired from my job. Like, immediate consequence. Like, not even a hesitation, like, boop, went out, boop, came in, boop, you're fired. Like, so, I mean, that should have been a red flag, but no. I'm a bull and I like to run towards the red flags. It was just super unmanageable. Couldn't keep a job. I remember like I detoxed on my grandma's couch. I cold turkeyed it. Um,
How was the
I
detox?
awful, awful. I mean, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I was just, either sweating or freezing. It was like the worst experience. My grandma, I remember, would come in and like wring my shirts out from all the sweat and I mean, it was awful. It was awful. And even then, like, even going like, as soon as I got through that, because I had no solution, nothing, you know, I went right back as soon as I started to feel just a little bit better, I was like, "Alright, well, now I can start over again," right?
Mm.
And it doesn't end, it doesn't end. And, so at some point, I decide to go back to college again. 'Cause let's do that. That's a good, this will get me back on track. Like this will help. And no, I went back and I got drunk and I told a friend what was going on and she suggested I get on methadone, which is a blocker. And I thought, why didn't I think of that? Like that's a great idea. This is the solution. Like notice how all of these solutions are working out so far, right? Like, and this was a new solution. This is I will oh my god. Yeah, and that was miserable, miserable, miserable. I think I was on methadone like 7 years, and it was just a band-aid. It was just a band-aid. It allowed me to like pick up on the weekends and be fine during the week. Sustain a job, have a little apartment, have a nice little car, have a little life. Uh,
Mhm.
which that to me felt like, you know, I'm fine, right? Like I look good on the outside. I look good on the outside. I didn't. But on the other hand, because I'm still using on the weekends and doing all all the things I was doing before, I just wasn't getting the sickness. And like I said, I was able to maintain a, s- a little life. People still didn't want to be around me. I didn't have friends. I was still miserable. And I had also convinced myself like that was normal, like that everybody, their happiness doesn't exist. I was just like, this is just the way it is, you know. And like I had accepted that. I had accepted that, this is just what my life is going to be. There was no progression in my life. There was no success. There was no feeling of completion or joy or any of that. It was just this flat line, you know, for all those years.
How long did the college attempt last?
I don't even know that I made it through the entire year. I don't even know. It couldn't have lasted very long.
What happened after college attempt? Back to working jobs, or what were you doing after that then?
Yeah, so I remember being back in school. I met a girl and we were living in like a college apartment, not a dorm. It was like college apartments. And we were living there together. I was in school and then we move out and we get a place together. That lasted about a month. And I'm used to this whole time you know, using behind her back and trying to hide it and not doing a very good job at it at all. Um, I'm always super argumentative, super angry and super intoxicated all of the time. Um, so we moved out, we get the place. It lasts about a month. And she's like, one day she's just like, I'm not coming home. Like, leave my stuff, like, pack my stuff, leave it outside. I'm not coming back. And I remember being so unaffected. Like, I just didn't, nothing bothered me anymore. I just didn't, like, okay, no problem. I'll just stuff it with more drugs, stuff it with more alcohol. And then I was I wasn't in school and I stopped going to school and I just started working. So because I had to pay the apartment on my own now. So I just started working. I worked like two jobs. Um and yeah, like I said, just weekend warrior and trying to maintain the apartment and trying to maintain the jobs and do the best I can at that point.
Did you have any more wake up calls that I'm going down the wrong path and maybe it's time to get sober?
Yeah, so towards let's see. It was 2018-ish, 2017-ish. I was working at a little dental office, and I had started on the side doing like the sugar daddy thing, to make extra money to support the habit, you know? And I did that for a few years quite successfully, in a way where it wasn't, too degrading to me or my life. It was more like for experiences, like they're taking me on trips, they're taking me to shows, nice dinners, I'm making the money, I'm, living lavishly at this point, I felt. And a few years of that, and I don't know, like I had said, I'm still going out on the weekends at this point. Like that never stopped. And at one point, somebody introduced me to crack. And that, I always say, like, thank God for crack because it brought me to my knees quicker than anything has ever brought me to my knees. It was about a year span of doing that. Um, I had lost a job because I was smoking crack in the dental office bathroom. And, uh, basically almost committed malpractice, like screwed something up with a client. It was really bad. I was completely, but like again, that was a new solution because it made me lose weight because I gained a lot of weight from the methadone and it gave me energy because methadone took all of that energy. Um, so when I got introduced to that, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm like cleaning the house, I'm organizing the cabinets, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off." I'm like, "This is great."
You're
Um,
balancing the drugs perfectly.
yeah, like I'm a chemist and a scientist
Yeah.
and I'm, finding the right concoction. Um, but, I got fired from that job and it was like basically right around COVID, right a little before it. Uh, and at this point I cannot leave the house. The only time I leave the house is to go to the methadone clinic because that's super important. Other than that, I'm not leaving. I physically cannot, because I'm so paranoid and so I'm just stuck. I was like stuck. They call it a trap house for a reason. I called mine a trap home because it was, but, um, I was stuck and I like, I would have men in and out of the apartment all day because this is my only form of income now. So just in and out all day. And I just, you know, I have my dealer on retainer. So he'd hide things around the house and I'd call him and he'd be like, "Oh, and the curtain rod behind the picture, I'll come by and grab the money later," because he knew I was good for it. And like I had $1,000 a day habit. Um, and I think I'm like living the best kind of life. I'm like, this is perfect. I don't even have to leave my house. All my stuff comes here, and I have certain men that'll bring me groceries, certain men that'll bring me my paraphernalia or run to Walmart if I need, whatever shampoo. I don't know. I had little task rabbits. I called them and I'm like, I'm a queen. I'm a queen and I'm living, but when you have that that when you have $1,000 a day habit, you have to imagine how much I was doing per day, and I kid you not, it was $1,000 a day, and I think within 3 months, I got to the point where nothing worked. Nothing worked. I would do an entire bun of heroin and mix it with a crack rock the size of the moon, and would be sick. I would be in withdrawal, and it got to the point where I the methadone clinic wouldn't dose me. Like, they looked at me and they would not dose me because I looked really, really I looked dead. I looked like a zombie. I looked like a little old woman. I looked scary. I was really frail and like maybe 100 pounds soaking wet and huge bags under my eyes. Like my hair was receding. It was crazy. Um, Abscesses all up and down my arms. So yeah, the methadone clinic would not dose me. The dealers would not deal to me. I went to the psych ward. I was in and out of the psych ward. The first time I had gone in there, they turned me away. They wouldn't even like admit me. They were just like, there's not, because I mean, that's not really where I needed to be, and um, yeah, the dealers wouldn't deal, the methadone clinic and and then the therapist stopped seeing me. I'm not being honest with her anyway, so it doesn't matter. So at this point, I have to reach out for help. I have to ask for help, right? Um, and I reached out to my family, and they hadn't seen me because the whole COVID, nobody saw anybody, and they didn't really believe me. They were like, "You're kidding, right? Like, what is?" No, I'm like, I'm sick. I'm scared. It was terrifying. I was all alone. Um, and I could barely move. I couldn't walk up the stairs. I'd be all shaky, and you know, it was really scary. It was really, really scary. You know, I didn't know what to do, and I was in it. The week that I was gonna go to treatment, like, my family was trying to find me a treatment center, and I was in and out of the psych ward every other day. Cops were at my house, you know. It was insanity. It was insanity.
Sounds like Charlie Sheen would have loved having you around back in the day.
Mhm. Mhm. We would have been buddies for sure.
Yeah, banging 7-gram rocks together.
Yeah, literally.
Um, were you making more than $1,000 a day then? To support like, were you saving money at all, or were you
Oh, no.
spending, like, every single dollar you got
Every
to
single
use?
penny every single penny that I made went straight to my dealer. My mom was paying my rent, so I didn't have to worry about bills. I just had to worry about my habit, and literally I would just, I'd make it, I'd stack it, I'd wait for him to come over whenever he could get there, and
It's
all to him.
crazy, making $400,000 and not paying rent, basically.
Mhm.
It's
Yep.
wild. Um, so you ask for help, though, and it's terrifying. Your parents were shocked. Were they supportive when you came and asked for help? How did
Yeah.
how did it go for you?
So, yeah, I mean, right away, my uncle is trying to figure out and I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm an only child, and I'm only grandchild, only niece, well, not only niece, but only grandchild, only child,
So
and,
you're super special.
yes, so, like, as soon as I came to them and told them this, my uncle's on top of the insurance, trying to figure out the insurance, my mom and my aunt and him were all trying to figure out, like, where I could get in because, again, it's COVID, and a lot of places it's very difficult to get into a treatment center at this time, and they're trying to, like, find me, a treatment center to go to, and my stubborn ass is like, nothing with nothing with, nothing recovery based. Nothing recovery based or
12-step.
12-step based. Sorry, yes. Nothing 12-step based. And I'm sending them articles. I'm like looking up smart recovery treatment centers and all I'm being really nuts and really, you know, so but they just end up finally finding me a place, and I have to go at this point because I was just, you know I like I said, I was just sick. I was super super sick, and like it was also at the point where like the abscesses had like an odor, and I thought the person below me was like dead, and it was really just my body rotting. Like I said, I couldn't walk, I could barely breathe. I remember like being like, if I walked up the stairs, like, I couldn't breathe. My body was falling apart. My body was, like, deteriorating, and, you know, I really was at the point of, like, no return. Like, I was like, "I'm either gonna die or I'm gonna get help. I'm gonna make it to this treatment center." I was writing my family a letter every time before I take a little shot and, like, basically, like, apologizing and, like, telling them that it wasn't their fault and, just oh, I'm emotional. Ooh. Um, you know, just letting them know, that I was sorry and this is just I didn't know what else to do, and I thought I was gonna die at any moment, basically.
it's terrifying where it can take you,
Yeah.
and it's a life-threatening disease. Um, Drinking, heroin, both of them. You can
Oh,
easily pass away from detoxing, from drinking too much or using too much one day, and even more so when you're IV using. Um,
mhm.
I'm glad you made it through that. When you went to that rehab, was it for you then? You're just completely ready to admit, like, I need help.
Know if I was completely ready. I mean, I wasn't because that wasn't the end. It wasn't like I'm a one-time wonder type of thing. It was more like I I think I wanted help. It's just I didn't know like how to be sober. I didn't know any other way. And like I think it was just in my mind, I was like, oh, this is just to get my feet back on the ground type of thing. Like a reboot, like a system reboot. Like that's I think the way I was looking at it.
Dry off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had the same experience where when I said I have a problem to my parents and I need to do something about it, I didn't know if that meant quitting forever. I just knew I needed to like straighten my life out for a little bit. And I couldn't go more than like 3 weeks without using. And things would go back to being worse than it was before. And I ended up in like the ICU from like pancreatitis like symptoms from my drinking because I was drinking all day, every day. Um, and still, it wasn't enough for me. And I went back out. But then one day, I randomly just had enough pain that my parents saw me drunk again that I reached out for help. And I actually wanted to like do it forever and to do it for myself. How many treatment centers more did it take you or after that?
Let's see, so 3 up north, and then I came down here and there was like 4 or 5, 7, at least 7 times. It was more in and out, but
How long were you going out for before you go back into treatment?
um the first time it was like a week, and then the next 3 times or 4 times it was like less than 24 hours.
Were you
I
putting
couldn't.
yourself right back in or was you
Yeah,
yeah. So you just didn't know how to be sober in the real world yet, but you wanted to be
right,
sober,
right,
it
and it was
sounds
like
like.
I was definitely at the point where, like, I knew I couldn't live like that anymore. Like, I knew that that was not sustainable. There was no way I was gonna be able to control or manage the way I drank or used. But yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know what the other side looked like, and I didn't even know where to start. I didn't know what to do.
Were you going for 30 days each time?
So the first couple of times, it was like not even it wasn't even 30 days. It was like detox and then treatment and then back home, and then I think that so I got like 60 days and then I got like 90 days, and then 60 days I went out, 90 days I went out, and then maybe another 60 and then out again.
So it's kind of maybe when the pink cloud wore off and maybe some emotions started to thaw. Did you learn any tools in treatment that were helping you at all, or what was treatment like?
Um, it's pretty fuzzy, but the one thing that I kept hearing was like go to meetings, get a sponsor, you know. Um and I like was really like I really didn't want to go that route. Um, and then I tried it, and I wasn't fully in it. like I wasn't fully in. I was kind of like going when needed to a meeting and having a sponsor by name, working the steps but not doing it honestly, just doing it to say I did it. Um like those were my big takeaways from treatment was telling me like this is the bubble, right? You're in the bubble, but like out there is where like the real work is, you know.
You're just kinda dipping your toe in on the
Mhm.
outside of the herd, not ready to fully immerse yourself.
Right.
What do you think clicked for you over those treatments that finally let you get sober?
So it wasn't so much something clicked. It was I was at the point of exhaustion, right? Like, the first, like I said, 60, 90, whatever, it was like 6 month span or something like that. I was still combative and I was still stubborn and I was still, you know, kind of chaotic and all over the place. But after the last time that I went out, I was just tired. I was so tired, you know, tired enough to shut up, tired enough to listen, and tired enough to like, you know, put my hands up and just surrender.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I couldn't do it anymore by myself. And I started listening to people, and I made friends with people who were sober and got a sponsor and worked the steps, and my life started getting better. Um,
Mhm.
are you living a happy, joyous, and free life now that you've gotten sober, or did it take a little while in that, like, first year of sobriety?
Yeah, so the last go, this after the last relapse, right? I didn't have the pink cloud. I didn't
Mhm.
have a pink cloud at all, and my sponsor can attest to it. Like I was miserable. The first year of sobriety, I'm not gonna lie about it, I was miserable. I was miserable, but I kept putting one foot in front of the other. I kept showing up, it was just a matter of time before my head followed. I kept like you said, I stayed within the fellowship and I, you know, took suggestions, right? It was like doing these little things and just literally following my sponsor like a puppy dog. I mean, just watching what she did and like that got me to the point where, I was finally happy, joyous, and free, right? It's not
Fake
like
it till you make it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my biggest motto. I love that.
Yeah, just keep showing up and, like, listening. Look for the similarities, not the differences, and
Mm.
you'll hear these little nuggets that just change your life, basically.
And it's like people
But
think all the little slogans are so cliche, but like they save my life on a daily basis, right? Like one
mhm.
day at a time, right? Like it
Yeah,
is.
I'm not gonna drink today, I'll drink tomorrow.
Right.
Um, the first year was miserable for you. I think a lot of people go through that because, like, your whole relief system or happiness was drinking or using, and now you don't have that release. You were probably pretty like, I know for myself, I was super isolated from my friends because I just wanted to drink the way I wanted to drink, so I didn't have, like, the huge group around me, and even if they were, I didn't want to be around them because they were drinking and stuff. So
Yeah.
you're, like, feeling lonely. There's not a ton of young people usually, like, in those rooms. It's usually a little bit older, so it's not easy at first, but I knew I was doing the right thing. Did you have that sense of is that what was keeping you going through the misery?
Yeah. Well, it was more so, you know, watching my sponsor and the people in my fellowship that I was close with, like seeing them, right? And they were happy. People
Mhm.
wanted to be around them. People came up and talked to them and they lit up a room when they walked in, right? They didn't walk in with doom and gloom. They walked in with like a smile and like they brought the sunlight in with them. Like and like it was that for me, right? It was like, I wanna be like that, and if they're doing all of these things, like, maybe if I do them, like, that could be me too.
It was wild to me when I showed up to my first ever in-person meeting. It's 8:30 on a Saturday morning, and people are laughing like it's 10:30 on a Saturday night, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"What is going on right now?"
Like, what drugs are they doing? Because I want those.
I'm detoxing right now, I'm
Mm.
shaking, like, I don't know which way is up, I'm in the worst position of my entire life, and you are all laughing at 8:30 on a Saturday morning, and I don't even wanna really be here. I thought I was just doing this online stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but life does become happier and more joyful. Um, what happened for you that it stopped becoming so miserable and
Um, I think making real friends, like true friends. You
and
know, I think when I started to, so like I said, I followed my sponsor and the people she was close with. But then when I started to like branch out and make my own friends, um, and surround myself with good, sober women and men, you know, like that's when it really changed, you know. And when I started like helping others and like getting out of my own way, my own brain, my own self, like doing all those kinds of things and making the friends, like that's when the switch happened. Right. And I didn't think so much about myself and how miserable I was. You know?
it's crazy how making a cup of coffee after a meeting and you talk to somebody else who has the same amount of sobriety as you, and then a week later you're best friends and you're texting each
Mm-mm.
other the whole day.
Yeah, it's just completely normal. Like I would go pick up women I didn't even know, like putting strangers in my car all the time, like to bring them to a meeting. Like I would always fill my car up with women. So like I'm always picking up some random girl and like just like it's so it was so it still is. It's so normal. Like but it's so
Yeah,
helpful. Makes me happy.
it lets you be your true self with other people and you can have intimate relationships with them.
Mhm. Yeah.
If somebody I know for myself, I didn't really want to, like, go 12-step route either. I thought I was gonna watch YouTube videos and, like, cure myself, and it did help a bunch watching stuff like this because at least got me to see that a lot of other people were having struggles and stuff. So if there's somebody watching who is thinking about getting sober or is in those they're counting days and they're still miserable and not sure if this is what's for them, what's your message to them?
All right. So I'm gonna this is my favorite like line that anyone has ever told me, and it got me through a super dark time and continues to because I hold on to it so dearly. Somebody told me, I gotta do this without like getting emotional. Somebody told me, no matter how difficult, how painful, how uncomfortable you might feel right now, if you can just get through this time and stay sober, just get through it. It's gonna be more beautiful on the other side.
Yeah, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable,
Mhm. And you have to walk
and
through the fear to grow.
yeah, that will change your life
Mhm.
dramatically. Do you have anything else you wanna add, Brittany, for anybody out there that's struggling, or if not, we can wrap it up?
Just that it does get better. Life does get beautiful, and it's not always easy, and it's not always a good time. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. Um, but you know, I hear this all the time, and I'm gonna requote it. You know, my worst day, you know, or my best day out there, you know, has nothing compared to my worst day, you know, being sober. And that's the truth, you know. I know that today I can get through anything and I can stay sober and, you know, my life's going to be okay at the end of the day. Everything's going to be okay, you know.
Not every day is gonna be a good day, but every day can be a meaningful day, and
Ooh.
that's something I really take with me because some days you like, someone wants to be like, "How's your day going?" It's like, "Good day," and it's like, "Dude, it's not a good day today, like, I'm kinda having a bad day," but when you're sober, you can find the meaning and the lessons in every day, and you can grow from them. That's something I could not do before because I was way too reactionary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't even try. Like, at least today I try to be a better person, right? I take a look
Mhm.
at my day and I see where I fall short. I see, you know, where I went wrong that day, and I try to do better, you know? Like, that's the best I can do is just take a look at where I went wrong and just say, "Okay, like, let me try to do better tomorrow." And, like,
Do
that
a
is enough.
spot check inventory and progress, not perfection.
Progress, not perfection. Mhm.
Alright, thanks, Brittany. This
Alright,
was
thank
a
you.
lot of fun. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. This was great. Thanks.